Here's a game. Tom v. Cat starts off with e4. Well, let's see. Let's try the Scandinavian again. That didn't work out last time. But this guy is taking. Okay. Last time it turned into a French defense, but here we get a real Scandinavian. And, okay, this is a line where he just gives the pawn back immediately, which is probably okay, but I don't think that white has a whole lot in this position. Let's see, I can try and fianchetto my bishop and put some pressure on his d-pawn. And my queen can sit there. He could try and chase the queen around with the move c4, but he chose not to do that. But the point is, he doesn't have a knight coming to c3 to chase my queen around, so he can't at least. He's not developing a piece with tempo. I still have to figure out where the queen goes. Let's see. The bishop here. And here's an idea. Maybe a double fianchetto. I could set up a battery like this where I'm actually threatening mate after he castles. So I just need to convince him to move his knight, and this should be interesting. So he's just kind of got a very defensive setup here. But there is, maybe a problem with that knight. Let's see if I can find a plan for getting rid of it here. Need to get to this square. Yeah, it's not so easy to get rid of that knight here or here. Well, let's start with this move. It doesn't block the bishop. It does block the queen, but I think the queen has enough squares it's not going to get into trouble. I was thinking I could play e5 and maybe trade and get a knight on that square. Maybe I'd want to drop my queen back to c3 before I do that, because otherwise my queen is opposite his queen and he could just trade it off. Let's start by moving a rook to the center, though. That's usually good. Don't want to waste too much time with these obscure maneuvers before things are set up here. Okay, so let's drop the queen back. Preparing to play e5, and if he pushes the pawn forward, I will just take it. So that won't get me an attack, but it will get me a pawn. So my idea is pawn to e5, pawn takes, knight takes, and if knight takes, I checkmate him. So the queen now is guarding g2. So that idea doesn't work. His queen is hitting the e-pawn. And, yeah, okay, so probably put the knight here so that I don't have to protect the e-pawn right away. Can figure out how best I want to handle this. I could put a rook behind the e-pawn. I could start trying to chase the queen away with h6. That might be interesting. Queen can go back to g3. The knight here hits the queen. Or knight here. But is there a follow-up to that? See, another way to exploit the diagonal is if I could open up the f-file and just sack a rook here. He's got his bishop prepared to take, though. That won't work. That will not work, because he just takes back with the bishop. And the bishop is hitting my queen and the undefended bishop behind it. So that's probably no good. Well, let's start with this h6 move. Chase the queen off that diagonal. And he's hitting this pawn. It's a little annoying. Yeah, I think my queen maybe is not in such a great spot. So let's move the queen off of there. Defending the, I kind of wanted to go to d6 with the queen, but I don't want to trade queens in this position. So now he goes there with the knight. Oh, that's good. That's a good move. Don't have any good way to counter it, so gotta move the queen again. His bishop could come to c5, c4. His bishop could come to c4 to hit my queen. Well, then I could interpose my bishop. I want to get in the move c5 myself and undermine his knight there. I do have knight to e4 hitting his queen, and maybe that's useful. But that gives up the g4 square, so he has bishop g4 or queen g4. Yeah, so he pushes forward. I thought he would do that, and I don't want him to take there. He's got too much force on the g6 square, so I have to push. So now when he goes there, now maybe I could play g or knight to e4. It defends the pawn and hits the queen. So well, let's see how he reacts to that. Queen moves off of that diagonal and onto this diagonal, which is interesting. So now I have a mating idea. But queen d5 rather would be met with bishop to f3, I guess. Okay, let's chase his knight off of that diagonal there. While my knight is blocking his queen from looking at the g6 square. Yeah, knight g6 though. Can he move his knight to g6 and get away with it? Maybe. Well, after knight g6, what would I do? Maybe my knight back so that I can play bishop. Yeah, he goes there. And it's hitting my rook. So I probably need to move the rook first. Yeah, this is getting complicated here. Could be that things have gone wrong for me. Kind of uncomfortable having a knight in the middle of my position like that. But, well, we'll just see how he makes progress from here. If he trades, it opens up the f6 square. I can play my knight to f6 and threaten to take on take on h5 there and win the knight. Or at least undermine the knight. Knight could end up trapped in here, and also I have the idea of playing the bishop to e4 at some point. Okay, so he's stopping to think about this. Okay, so he goes after my knight, leaves the pawns there. My bishop is undefended. So I can play knight to can I play knight c4? It's knight c5. He can't take because of the pin on the queen, right? And if he takes my bishop, I can take his queen. So he probably has to move the queen. Takes the knight. I mean, it's 2 pieces for the queen if he takes the knight and then takes the bishop. And my bishop is hanging here, of course. This hits the queen, defends the bishop. After the queen moves, then I can trade off this bishop. And then save the knight. That's my idea. Or, well, after I take the bishop, he'll have a choice of taking the knight or the bishop. And then I'll save whichever piece he doesn't take, I will save. Well, things got complicated in a hurry. There's a check here. It might be useful in some cases, but he can put a rook here, can't he? Say I check now, and then take the bishop. He hits my queen. I can't take there. The knight's guarding that square. Okay, he stayed on this diagonal. Okay, we will just take that bishop off. And yeah, like I said, here he has a choice of taking either the knight or the bishop. I was thinking bishop back to e4 if he takes the knight. If he takes the bishop, oh, that controls the check, so that's a good move. I was thinking I would play the check and then I could play my knight to f6. So I don't have that. My knight's hanging, so I should probably move it. So if I play knight e4, he can pin it with the rook, and I don't have a check. So I should do something like this. Knight back to d7. Knight, yeah, that was knight e4. I really wanted to get in knight e6, but that looks like it's not happening. So, but he's not chasing my queen off this e-file right away either. It's doubling on the d-file instead. So what can I do here? There, I can take the knight maybe. Actually, he takes back with the queen, so I probably need to play the move f5 first before taking the knight. Ah, so he takes first. So I take, he takes here with check, I take, he takes with the rook. Yeah, so I can't take with that pawn. I can take with this one, however. I don't know. This looks like a dangerous attack from white here. So probably there is some way to kill me here. We'll see if white finds it. There, he just stays on the diagonal. So I want to block the diagonal and take his knight. If I play here, he takes with the rook. Take with the rook. He takes with the rook. It loses a piece, but I mean, it loses a pawn. I need to get rid of that knight. I can't just take it because he'll take back with the queen. And I don't see any other way. Any other way to slow down the attack along that diagonal. So rook takes, rook takes, rook takes, knight takes. And he can't take with the queen because the rook is in the way. He can move the rook with tempo to here, but that's a check and I can take it. Queen there checked. My queen is guarding that square. So I don't see how he can kill me immediately. We'll see. He's got a minute and a half here, or 2 minutes to figure it out. There could be a way. Yeah, he takes. I think I need to take first. If he takes with the queen, I'm just trading and then taking the knight. If he takes with the rook, then I take the knight directly. And he needs to take back with something. He's down a piece. And if I get this knight and pawn, then actually I won't even be down material. It'll be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 against 4. 1 is 5. My pawns will be a bit more scattered. So let's see if he's got some great trick right here. This is the crunch moment. Pawn takes, queen takes, so there's no discovered check. In a check with the rook, rook just gets taken. Rook here, I can maybe take it with the knight, because my queen now is guarding that square. And I also have checks on the back rank against his king. Yeah, so that, I don't think that works, right? Because my queen is guarding the g6 square that his queen needs to get to. And actually, he can't even take my knight because it's pinned. Okay, I can't take it either. Let's see. So what's the best way to handle this? I unpin. He takes. I have a check. King goes over here. I have a check, and that forces a trade of queens. That should be enough. I'm going to rook up. Check, yeah, to force that trade of queens. And this should eliminate all the counterplay. So anyway, yeah, he resigned. Good game. I'll upload this and do a postmortem. See you guys later. Bye.